So at the end of last year, I put together the summary of everything that had taken place, my key themes and takeaways from 2025. I did, as part of that, say that I would put together a 2026 looking forward episode. This is that episode. So this isn't predictions. I don't know what's going to happen. However, these are things I'd like to see from the world of AI in 2026. I've got a list of 10. I'm going to see if I can get it all done in 10 minutes. To me, this is the most interesting thing to look forward to. So I hope it makes sense, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Number one, I've called Sovereignty Made Simple. I think this is a really big, interesting area within AI, especially as geopolitics and kind of tensions around the world continue to make people more conscious about where they're hosting their data, the compute and where that compute is based, and also the restrictions that you might want to have around your own data and your AI. Yes, at the moment you can host on-premise within your jurisdiction. There are lots of options, but I wouldn't say it's simple. It's only now we're starting to see some turnkey solutions that allow you to have a sovereign form of AI for the different services you want in your jurisdiction, where you know where the data is and you understand the models. It's anything but simple. It's a conversation, and then it's a long, complex implementation, and then there's all the complexities around maintaining it. I think that's going to be a big theme for governments, for businesses, for anyone really who wants to understand how they can use all of this technology, but with real controls and understanding about everything from the data, the models, the execution, the compute, the energy use, everything that goes around it, really understanding where that is and how you control it. So sovereignty made simple, I think is going to be a big thing, and I'd like to see it happen this year. Number two is context is king. So I know we talk a lot about context when it comes to AI. We're starting to realize that these models on their own only know so much. And actually, context, that's not, just documents that you're giving it, but the actual context around decision-making, governance, people, the history of how things have evolved, and the day-to-day interactions that are constantly happening within an organization. That is literally the most important thing. That's what makes us as humans valuable in many ways. You notice it when you go on holiday and you come back and you're like, oh, I've kind of lost the context. Like I need to get up to speed. Even though you have all the skills and everything before, you just don't have that understanding of what's really been happening while you've been away. So context graphs, knowledge graphs, a lot more emphasis on the context layer, I think is something I'd like to see this year. And not just data layer. Everyone keeps talking about data, get your data in order, foundations. I get that. But the context is a missing piece. It's something we don't normally record or store. It's actually something that we as humans are fantastic at kind of figuring out and keeping within our heads and storing as social networks that we keep and digital footprints that we leave, but we have never really kept it in one place as a kind of context layer. So I think context is king is a really important thing I'd like to see. I also would like to see user and employee context ownership, because this is a topic that people maybe don't want to discuss, but it's one thing having all of this at an enterprise level, a business level, and maybe a nation state level. But my context, I kind of want to own it. And I want it to be transferable with me, because it's me at the end of the day. And I also want to have personalization over it. So there's a real healthy tension there, I think, where we could see context become really valuable. And who owns, curates, manages, transfers that context become a really interesting conversation that brings value to the enterprise, but also to the employee as well, and everything they bring with them. So that's number two. Number three, memory matters. I think memory is the moat that we're going to start seeing, and you're seeing it with every model provider now adds memory features with the idea that the more they learn about you, the more they remember the prompts and the conversations you've had, the more sticky that product is. It's going to be really hard if you've had a long time talking to an AI model about your holiday plans or a project you're working on or just details about you and your family, and then you want to move to somewhere else that doesn't know you. So memory is very important. It's also important for model performance and for the experience of using these type of AI systems. You need to have an understanding not just of, okay, we remember everything, but short-term memory, long-term memory, episodal memory, and even the ability to forget. It's one of the most powerful things we have as humans. When you ask me a question, I don't kind of cycle back to my entire life history. I know what makes sense, I know what I remember, and that's what I use to inform my answer. Being able to manage all of that is a really complex matter. We have the architecture for it now, we have a lot of the ways of defining it, but I don't think we've brought that into real world applications and systems in a way that makes it magical. And I think, yeah, memory matters is a key theme that I think I'd love to see become very, very important in 2026. So number 4, I've called War of the World Models. And I think world models are going to be a really big thing in 2026. I don't think it's going to be the overarching super everything theme, kind of the AGI question that people are asking about. But I do fully expect, and I kind of would want to see, the very best physics-based world-generating models where you can generate real-world outputs. So almost like a video game that you're able to like navigate through the 3D space with real world physics, real world rendering, the memory of actions and interactions that you have within that space, all generating on the fly. I think I want to see that happen, and I want to see the different variations of world models that are out there, because at the moment you have things that are really cool. They look like video games, right? You can feel the value from a video game perspective of being able to literally generate real world simulations on the fly in real time for any number of potentials. But it's really hard to pin down the specific valuable use case where that's going to be like, oh, okay, this is the thing that's going to change everything. Unless, of course, you are just talking about video games. I think there's a lot of value in there, but I'd love to see in 2026 a bit of a battle, people iterating on it to see whether it's good for physics simulations, for safety simulations, for immersive reality, for modeling things that we currently don't using generative AI. We have other tools that can do this type of highly machine learning based modeling, but we haven't really brought it into like a complete world model that has a full understanding of how everything fits together. I think there's a lot that can happen in that space, but I think we're going to see a bit of a battle take shape, and I'd love to see what people come up with. So that's number 4, War of the World Models. Number 5, voice is a choice. So it's bugged me a lot that the best voice inputs aren't everywhere. You can use the Whisper models that OpenAI have, you can use speech to text input, and it's pretty variable everywhere. There are some incredible ones out there where you just talk and whatever you say, whatever accent, it just gets it as an input. And you've probably experienced those. And then when you go and use something else and does it have a microphone button, and you click it and it's just terrible. And then you spend all your time retyping what it didn't transcribe, and you're thinking, I might as well have typed it out from scratch. This is terrible. So voice is a choice. I think it should be the default. I think it should be highest quality. And then all of the other choices of inputs and outputs need to be easy. So you should have a good variety of, I want to give it an image, a video, hold my phone up as a camera, like any inputs that you want, any documents, any context. But really, voice should be that primary one, and we should make it really, really good. Conversational interfaces are definitely where we have evolved the best way to communicate. So we need to leverage that, and it should be the best everywhere. Number 6, I've called it BYOD, and that's not bring your own device. I'm calling it build your own desktop. And what I mean by that is, I think everyone will roll their own applications. We've seen vibe coding and agentic coding come into a space where you can pretty much build anything. You know, people have more skills, more experience, more capability to bring it to production than others, sure. But the barriers to just, I have an idea, I want to actually realize it and build an app, a little project, a little thing that does something of value to me, that barrier is low, so low now that kids are doing it. Adults and people who maybe didn't grow up with this technology and haven't coded before, haven't deployed software, they're doing it themselves. I think build your own desktop should be something that we see in the workplace, where within your workstation, within your own sandbox that you work in, there should be the ability for you to build the tools that matter to you and that give you productivity. And it shouldn't be reliant on central IT or other systems to kind of do that for you. There will be capabilities, and I hope we start getting real enterprise versions of these in 2026 where build your own, ship your own, roll your own tools becomes a real experience that empowers everyone to actually solve their own problems, and maybe if they're really popular, ship those to other people. So there's an interesting idea there. Number 7, I think we need to go from business case to value at pace. I know that kind of is a bit of I don't even like that rhyme. It kind of is cheesy, but I'm fed up of the business case for AI because we're at the stage now where instead of deliberating over everything, we really need to start compounding the benefits of AI, regularly. I think if you start early, you fail fast, you ship things that make sense, and you learn. The compounding benefits of AI outweigh any macro business case that you might spend 6 months putting together. I think we also need to shift from theoretical value of like what we're trying to measure to things validated by evals, benchmarks, real measurable KPIs and metrics that we can pull from the actual AI systems we're building. It's a very kind of technical way of looking at it, but it's doable, and it's really doable now, and that shift is just essential. So from business case to value at pace. Number 8, Agentic OS becomes the new UX. I'm starting to get frustrated with this. We're still in the phase of chatbot paradigm and the ChatGPT wrapper, where it's like, oh, it's kind of ChatGPT, but we've put a wrap around it and we've got a little text box and we have a conversation and it does stuff. I think the agentic world looks different. It does things. It proactively does things. It might even think and come up with ideas when we're sleeping, so that when we start the day, there's this whole, something's been happening overnight. That's agentic, and it's in a completely different way, allowing us to interact with everything else. It might be that we don't need to think about the initial user experience with the dashboards, the buttons, the kind of the inputs that we normally think of. We might need to think about handing that over to an agent. The agent goes and does things, and that operating system, that user experience it's completely different. It's kind of being abstracted by some entity that does things for you. And I don't know I don't think I've seen a really good example where we've gone full Agentic OS, but we need to do that in 2026. We need that to become the new user experience, and it's going to look different and feel different. And I'm excited for that. I kind of hope we see some really interesting ways of interacting with these agentic systems that becomes the norm in 10 years' time, but for us at the moment, we'll be like, whoa, what has this happened? So yeah, really looking forward to Agentic OSs. Number 9 is I've just put as ending the open versus closed divide. We seem to still be in this geographic split, vendor split, where open models exist in one part of the globe, primarily out of the East and out of China. Closed models which are also leading models, tend to come out of the US and some of the leading model labs. In Europe, it's great. We have Mistral, which is providing open and closed models and is Europe's leader. But there still seems to be a bit of a geographic and vendor split. And it would be nice to see that come to a close where we have optionality across the board. I think there's a definite market for closed models. There's a definite market for open models. There shouldn't be a kind of geographic split to this. It feels like it should be open to the end user, open to what you want to use, and all vendors should be able to provide different options to really tap into that mass market. That's where I feel we should be getting to. So it'd be good to see that transition. But anyway, that's what I'm looking to see. Whether it will happen, we'll see. Final one, number 10, stop talking about an AI bubble. I think we peaked already on Google Trends. We're the AI bubble trend has peaked and popped. Instead, I think we need to start talking about doing the impossible. So the impossible era is where I would love to see us get to in 2026. I had this concept that there's 3 different things that we can do with AI. We can do the same for less, so essentially productivity increases. We can do more with the same, increase growth, revenue, output, or we can do something net new. And until now, it seems to be the same value levers of just I want to be more efficient, more productive, increase yield, those type of things. I think we should start thinking about how can we do something completely new, something that you could not do before AI created a completely new way of doing things. So that in itself would be a fantastic thing to start talking about in 2026. I've gone over 10 minutes. I tried to keep it quick, but these are my 10 things that I'd love to see in 2026. I'd love to know if you have any feedback on it or things that you'd look to see instead. So with that, I will wrap up and catch you soon. Thanks.